Hey, what's up? This is Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz, and this is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, a review of the Houston Texans news, as well as a preview of the upcoming game matchups. So, we finally made it. It's week one of the NFL season, y'all. That means the Texans will be going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Rams to open up the regular season. And as usual, before I get into that game preview, got a couple of new news items that I want to get through. So once I get through those, then we'll get into what the Texans need to do to handle business this Sunday. So first off, the whole team got refurbished, y'all. Basically, it was an off season of quite a few changes where changes needed to be made. One of the most important ones was firing Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, and replacing him with new offensive coordinator Nick Caley. Nick Caley comes from the Los Angeles Rams, ironically, as a tight ends coach and passing game coordinator, and he will be tasked to lead this Texans offense. That's going to have another completely different looking offensive line. Speaking of offensive line, we've had a busy. We had that was one of the that was one of the biggest that was one of the biggest sore spots from last season. Just how bad this offensive line is played, and it ended up with a couple of people getting traded. Larry Tunsil, he got traded. Shaq Mason, he got cut in the offseason. Kenyon Green, he got traded in the offseason as well to the Philadelphia Eagles. So, what the Texans took it up on themselves to do was actually address the issue through a number of sources. So first off, they did address it in free agency. They brought in Cam Robinson. They got Laken Tomlinson as well. In addition to that, they decided to go the traditional route and get in the draft. And they got Ariante Ursary, second round pick out of Minnesota. And so he's going to be starting at left tackle, as is listed on the depth chart at this moment. And so just rebuilding this whole offensive line, putting forth their best effort to really just kind of shuffle things around, including putting Titus Howard at the right tackle position. I'm reading that right. Yes, I am reading that right. I can read. Okay, so so yeah, just making those moves with the offensive line. That is something Nick Caley is going to be in charge of as far as organizing. That also includes, from what I've been hearing, is giving CJ Stroud a little bit more control over the offensive line as far as making calls and checks and adjustments at the line or whatever. So I would love to see how that plays out. In addition to the offensive additions, uh, Christian Kirk and Nick Chubb were added in free agency. And so I believe it was, yeah. So Chubb, he was signed from the after leaving the Cleveland Browns this past off season. And Kirk, he was actually acquired from Jacksonville Jaguars in a trade. And so, few things that I'm taking away from all of these changes. One, just speaking on Nick Caley being added, um, it sounds like a very, very positive thing. One of the first things I heard, one of the first news items I heard, um, was reported that CJ Stroud is somebody that he really liked what the Rams were actually doing offensively, and so he was a very big fan of what Sean McVay had going on here. So having somebody come from Sean McVay's coaching tree, I think I think that'll be really dope. As far as having Stroud take that next step as in his development as a quarterback, and it's crazy to say development because he kind of plays damn near like a 10-year vet at times, but you know what I'm saying, this is his third year, and him just kind of seeing it's going to be interesting to see how he acts in an entirely new system, one that he's going to be actually not just seeing his development progression as a pro, but actually like seeing the maturity. Not to be semantic guy like that, but just really seeing his maturity as a pro with being given the reins as far as like calling the protections on the offensive line and having more control over that. As far as the offensive line goes, changes had to be made, you know, and so a lot of as far as Ursary, he's going to be kind of the one that everybody has their eyes on, especially given that he's going to be on that left side, on that blind side of CJ Stroud. So a lot of people are going to be holding their breath for the first couple games, just to see, you know, how things go. And so, with that being said, um, you know, I heard a lot of, you know, good reports from about Ursary coming out of well, not heard. I read a lot of good reports on about Ursary as far as like training camp goes. Just the different training camp reports that's been reported out there. Seems like he's had a pretty solid camp this past training camp, and so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be, you know, really exciting to see like how he actually is implemented into the game action and really just kind of hold things down. As far as Christian Kirk and Nick Chubb, these additions, they really come in at like the most crucial time ever. Christian Kirk, speedy receiver out of Jacksonville. You know, he's coming in at a time where instead we lost Stephon Diggs on the free agency and, you know, kind of the injury as well for him. In addition to us actually losing Tank Dell to injury for this year. So those are two very important receiving pieces that we're going to be without this year. So he kind of comes in and holds down that number two spot along opposite of Nico Collins, who's obviously had a breakout year, these are breakout times these last couple seasons. Um, but you know, now that you know Nico's profile is kind of rising up a little bit, you know, teams are going to be more focused on him, and so I think Kirk kind of comes back as far as like bringing that, you know, bringing that diversion, you know what I'm saying, away from him and allowing, and hopefully allowing Nico to get more one-on-one matchups that he can win and more opportunities to actually get the ball. So I definitely think Kirk is going to bring that. And you know they drafted, you know, Jaden, Jalen. Oh my God! They they drafted Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, both Iowa State teammates or whatever. But they drafted those guys. You know, this year Higgins, I believe, came out the second round, right before. Yeah, Higgins came out the second round, right before Ursary, and where's the other guy? Yeah, Noel, somewhere in here, but yeah, Higgins came out the second round, right before excuse me, yeah, Higgins came out the second round right before Ursary. Noel coming in the third round right after Ursary. So both both Iowa State teammates, getting some love on that front, and so it looks like we'll talk about Kirk's. It looks like Higgins might be getting a start pretty soon, so we'll talk about that in a few. Nick Chubb, he comes in at a very crucial time as well. Um, you know, Joe Mixon, he's reportedly having an ankle injury, and you know, it's supposed to keep him out, you know, sometime, and you know, um, it's supposed to keep him out like an extended amount of, significant amount of time, and just not sure how long. So if Mixon was, you know, available, him and Chubb being that 1-2 punch was definitely something that was going to be needed. But it seems like Chubb is going to be the lead back for right now, and you know he's going to be followed by Woody Marks and Damian Pierce. So that's going to be interesting committee to really see how they work that in and everything. So definitely, definitely looking forward to that. Refurbished defense, yeah. So. Um, Not a lot of additions to the defense. They did bring back Sheldon Rankins uh, this year. Um, they did have CD Dukes. They did have CJ Gardner Johnson this year in a trade, and so the CD Deuce, the CD Deuce story started off really crazy for this preseason. So apparently, towards the beginning of training camp, he apparently got a knee injury, and a lot of people were like, he's done for the year, only for him to turn around and be like, no, he's going to play week one. So it's hopefully, hopefully he stays on track, makes week one and goes on, past that. So that was CD Deuce, one of the bigger additions. Was probably the biggest addition to this defense. Jalen Petrie, he's going to be moving into the nickel, a position they kind of had him in a couple times last season, but he's officially moved in as a nickel cornerback from his safety position. For the safety position is going to be CD Deuce and Caleb Bullock. And Bullock, he's one of the two rookies that the Texans got on defense last season that were super impressive. The other rookie, Kamari Lassiter. And so Bullock and Lassiter, both very, very impressive rookie campaigns, going all the way from the last season all the way through into the playoffs. And so I think that's going to be an important quote unquote addition to this defense is going to be the experience added to both Lassiter and Bullock. Now that they have a whole year under their belt, I think their nose for like playmaking and being ball hawks is going to improve even more, and especially with somebody like Petrie being able to show their flexibility, their versatility in the nickel spot. I think it's going to be a really, 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 really tough defense. A refurbished, renovated, rearranged defense. It's going to be really, really tough against a bunch of offenses this year. Injury report. So, Braxton Berrios, another free agent. Him and Christian Kirk apparently missed Thursday practice, and so it's probably trending that neither one of those guys are going to be playing this Sunday. So that's going to open the door for Jaden Daniels, maybe Jalen Noel. See what happens with that. I think I saw something that said Kirk was ruled out, but I'll have to go back and check. And yeah, so and I know how and going how these injuries have been reported, not just with CD Deuce, but like the other ones I've seen like across the league, as far as like people supposedly having serious injuries, but then not having serious injuries. I'm gonna just have to wait it out to game time. So I'll leave it at that. But definitely, it was reported that they both missed practice. So, we'll see what happens with that. You'll get the official word then. So, with that being said, game preview. Um, Texans, they're going to be going on the road facing the Los Angeles Rams. And this is an interesting Rams team because they're coming up, just like the Texans, they're also coming off a second round playoff loss. They lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, yeah, they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles in the divisional round last year, and Philadelphia Eagles eventually went on to win the Super Bowl, so not a bad loss for them, I guess. But coming into this offseason, they made quite a few changes as well. One of the big changes they made was they added Devontae Adams, but however, they ended up losing Cooper Kupp. So it's going to be really interesting, how Adams fits into this offense. Also, Matthew Stafford has been kind of battling a back injury, and it seems like it's been limiting him throughout all the preseason. I'm not sure if he played any during the preseason, but um, he's definitely been out. Well, obviously, he probably hasn't. He's been out of. They've been reporting him as being out of practice for quite a while now, and so he's going to be coming in here, coming off of that injury, starting this game this Sunday. And so it's going to be really interesting to see like what kind of Matthew Stafford we're going to get, because he's really one of the he's still like very much a veteran quarterback, so he still can get things done, but what I'm saying, he's getting up there in age. It's what is it really going to look like? How much rhythm how quick is he going to jump into his rhythm, to his form? So, with that being said, the Texans, they have a very much interesting battle up ahead, because despite Matthew Stafford's coming off an injury, it's still going to be very much a competitive game between these two teams. A very tough game for the Texans to open the year up with. So here's the couple things the Texans got to do. First things first, they have to get the run game going early, like early on. So one of the things, um, one of the things that's going to be discounted against the Texans is uh, they're possibly going to have receivers absence. That's going to be the first thing to stand out. So with Kirk possibly being ruled out, they're going to have Jaden Higgins in there, possibly Jay Noel. So there's going to be two rookie wide receivers pretty much in the mix. Uh, that's cool, but it's still rookies, and what I'm saying. They don't You don't know if they're gonna, and it can go either two ways. They can go off in this game, or they can just fall flat in their first game, their first professional game. So it is what it is. But the one thing they want to do is get the run going to make up for that, but also to establish rhythm early. As I mentioned earlier, Ariante Ursary, it has him listed in the depth chart at the left tackle position, CJ Stroud's blind spot. So you definitely don't want to put Stroud in a position where he has to drop back. Like, you just really don't want to do that, especially when you have and Jared Verse on the other side of that line. So it's going to be really, really imperative um, for the for the yes, for that O line to just kind of protect them. It's going to be really imperative for Kaylee to design something that's going to protect Stroud. Because after all the fuss about the offensive line, how they performed last season, and then how they performed in that divisional game against the Chiefs, you don't want to start the year off with your quarterback, going through the same issues, despite it being a new O line with a rookie starting on that O line. You still want to minimize. You can expect some mistakes, but you definitely want to minimize those mistakes as much as possible. So they can do that by definitely establishing a run game. Um, Nick Chubb is not a scrub. Did not mean to rhyme that. Just meant to emphasize that. Nick Chubb is not a scrub. This guy's a Pro Bowler. You know what I'm saying? Very much a gamer. He was a menace, in Cleveland. And like I said, before the injuries got to him, things might have slowed down for him, but he's still very much a threat. Can be very much effective in the run game. So definitely have to get this thing going early for this guy, Damian Pierce. He had 100 yards just towards the end of last season. So he's very much so has to be in the mix as well. Texans have to probably have to rely more on the run this in this game than they have in, like, probably a lot of previous games before. So definitely get that run game going early to protect the quarterback and ensure some type of offensive success, and definitely instill some confidence in that rebuilt O line. Second thing Texas need to do is get a pass rush going. So, like I said, Stafford, he's coming off of his back injury, kind of held him out of a lot of games, not a lot of game action during the preseason. So, what the Texans want to do is kind of implement a pass rush to kind of, speed his clock, kind of disrupt him, trying to get into a rhythm, because, like I said, they have Puka Nakua over there in addition to Dante Adams. So it's going to be a real dangerous challenge for them, for this Texas defense. But you definitely want to get this pass rush going to start things off and start disrupting whatever rhythm that Stafford is kind of built with Nakua as well as Adams. So He's possibly going to have some rust from the layoff, but definitely get that pass rush going to disrupt that. Also, honorable mention, stop Kyron Williams. He still, if they feel like they can't, the Rams feel like that they can't get the pass going, they're probably going to go to Williams and probably get him started running a little bit. So please, whatever you do, do not forget about him at all. Make sure that you make the stop on him whenever you can. So that's all I got for this week. That's pretty much it. Those things right there. Just get the run game going early, establish rhythm early with the run game to protect CJ Stroud and you know instill some confidence in this offensive line. Get a pass rush going. Stafford's coming off injury and might have a little bit of rest on him, so get the pass rush going to kind of disrupt his own rhythm going into this game. And also, just whenever you can, stop Kyron Williams. Make sure that, if once the pass rush is implemented successfully, make sure that he's not actually they're not relying on him and making him be effective in this game. So Texans do those three things. They can definitely open the season with a win, and they can just build off of that win from there and keep it going. So that's all I got for y'all this week. I'm Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. If you're watching this on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to my channel. If you're liking this on Facebook, facebook.com/BrandonBlog. Like my page, like this video, share both of these videos to your platforms. I'm Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. Holla black.